Welcome to special episode of the Coffee Corner Show where we're celebrating. This is a Christmas special episode at the Coffee Corner Show powered by the Emerging India Forum TIF and a tech partner, Prime Infotech Solution. Theme is Leading with Heart and Mind, the human-centric way of Esther Indurkar. In a world that's rapidly shifting towards automation and digital transformation, Esther reminds us that true leadership is and will always be human. As a president of PSAI, global keynote speaker, and founder of the Indian Board of Mind and Life Transformation, Esther has dedicated her life to empowering leaders to think deeply, feel authentically, and act courageously. With over 2 decades of experience spanning leadership, development, emotional intelligence, and mindset transformation, she embodies the essence of a human centric leader, one who leads with both head and heart. In this episode, we explore the journey of building trust driven, emotionally intelligent leadership cultures and uncover the woman behind the mission, her inspirations, philosophies, and the values that keep her grounded. And we also uncover Esther as a person. So, welcome, Esther, today's Coffee Conversation Christmas special episode.
Amir, thank you so much. Thank you for having me here on your show.
So, let me explain. It will be 3 rounds: professional journey, personal journey, and a surprise rapid fire round, as you will be like Coffee with Karan. And here's inspiration, niche marketing.
Amir.
So, the first question, Esther, how was the journey shaped up, and what were the key defining moments you had?
Uh, if I talk about my journey, Amir, it has been mostly layered because I have grown learning from setbacks. So, as I always say, that there is blessing in the challenge. It is just waiting to be found. And that has been my entire journey. Um, if I can remember some of the turning points, one turning point which comes up in my mind is when I stopped trying to fix leaders and I started working professionally to help them see themselves clearly first. And then that transformation actually helped them to build ways for themselves and others. And that has been one realization for myself also to keep working to see themselves clearly first.
Wow. So, let's build the conversation. What role does emotional intelligence play in driving performance and trust within teams?
When we're talking about emotional intelligence, it is the invisible driver of performance, is how I look at it, Amir. Because when it comes to leadership, you are endlessly being a manager right from the time you pick up a job to working, and on a particular day you get that performance appraisal letter, and they say you're a leader now. They've been taught, given the skills to manage things, but somehow we miss on helping them to learn emotional intelligence. And at that given point in leadership, emotional intelligence is the one where teams perform at their best if a leader is emotionally intelligent, because uh, they feel emotionally safe. Their managers, the teams don't just give their best to managers they fear, but they give it to the leaders whom they trust. And that comes with emotional intelligence. And so when we step into leadership, it is important that that emotional intelligence becomes our driving force. Because to be very honest, when people in the organization feel seen and safe, they move from survival mode to ownership mode. And that's where the leadership starts thriving. That's where performance naturally rises and it becomes effortless. So that is why emotional intelligence plays a very, very key role. And I
Wow,
think it should be built right from the beginning, not just when you become a leader.
interesting. So, Esther, you have bridged IQ, EQ, and SQ in your leadership programs. How do these dimensions interact to create truly transformative leaders?
So when I'm talking about IQ, EQ, SQ, I look at it like your IQ helps you to think, your EQ helps you to connect, and your spiritual quotient helps you to lead with meaning. So it is about using your prefrontal lobe, the IQ, which is about logic, analysis, problem solving. That's what is going to give us mostly organizations hire for IQ to begin with. Then your EQ, emotional quotient, it is about understanding emotions, yours and others. And that is going to help you to manage the stress, communicate better, and build that trust where your people can work naturally. And that is exactly where leadership begins. Doesn't matter if you are in the organization for 1 year or 15 years, but the minute we start embracing EQ, your leadership actually begins. You start self leading yourself. And then comes your spiritual quotient or SQ, which is about bringing in that inner alignment, the answer to the why. It's what helps leaders to make decisions because they stand at crossroads every other day. They work under a lot of pressure. So, high IQ without EQ would create distance between people. We do not want that as a leader. EQ without spiritual quotient would create a burnout because they do not have an alignment to why. And when all these three align together, that is where the leaders don't just make decisions, but they are making impactful choices to not just lead, but to transform. And that is why these three are very, very essential growing
Wow.
together.
So, Esther, according to what are some of the biggest mindset blocks you've observed in today's corporate leaders and how can they overcome them?
So if I'm talking about mindset blocks, I would not call it a block per se, Amir, but I would say that it's a myth that leaders must know all the answers, to be very honest. And that's where the disconnect happens. The moment a leader starts saying, I don't know yet, but I'm willing to explore, that's where the trust begins. And trust is the foundation for any thriving team. In organizations, we see many teams. Some are thriving because the trust is the foundation, which is coming because the leader is okay to be not okay or not know it all. And so that is one myth that generations have to break, leaders have to break, that they don't need to know it all.
Wow. So, leadership transformation often starts with self awareness. How can leaders practically cultivate this skill in everyday work life?
Now, when we talk about self-awareness, it's like it's something where you're building a behavior.
Hmm.
I know we are very busy. Everything is moving at a very, very fast pace, but pausing before reacting, that's the first thing because as leaders, we want to give answers. The minute you pause, you hear the answers. And that is where the change begins. Self awareness begins when the leaders are ready to notice why something triggered their response. And that starts with pausing, is what I have experienced in my experience. Leaders who reflect daily, you don't have to spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes meditating. Spend 5 conscious minutes to build that inner GPS and have those pit stops to check your mood because that emotion builds up by the time evening comes and that's where all the relations are broken. So that's what builds in the awareness, but it's a regular daily practice of 2 minutes, 5 minutes, but it must be done.
Wow. So, Esther, you're known for shaping leaders who inspire, not instruct. What are the key traits of such leaders?
Instruction has never worked right from the time we were babies, right? The minute we tell the babies don't do this, they want to do exactly that. We do not want to be told. We like to be, as humans, we like to be involved. And that is where It begins when you start listening deeply. You ask questions to involve and collaborate. That is where the trust and empathy and a group collaboration works. We are not wired to be taking instructions. We like to be involved. We like, as a human, to be seen, to be acknowledged. And that will happen only when we are ready to listen to our people. That is why emotional intelligence plays a major role, because when a leader is emotionally intelligent, they are not just working or operating based on the best scenarios, but they are working and operating to elevate others. And that comes when we start listening deeply, when they start modeling behavior instead of demanding it. That is when the leaders could create followers. And once you start having followers, you really don't have to say anything. It just moves. It's a well-oiled machine, so it just moves and inspires people to think and own.
Wow. So, Esther, having trained and mentored thousands globally, how do you tailor your approach to different cultures and leadership styles?
I ask a lot of questions, to be very honest. The very thing that I said, that leaders, a good mark of leadership is to be okay to ask questions and say, I don't know everything. And that is where I begin. Leadership challenges, to be very honest, from culture to culture may differ across cultures, but 100% of the organization across the world, across cultures, 100% of your processes, 100% of your stakeholders, they all are humans. And that is why their emotions are pretty much the same: fear, ambition, belongingness, that lack of feeling safe, psychological safety, that desire to be seen, that is universal, no matter how the cultures are. And respecting cultural context is good when we start staying human always. That works. And for me, when I tailor leadership across different cultures, that is the reason why I ask about their culture or about their systems, because the underlying emotions pretty much remain the same.
Wow. So let's go memory down the lane. What's been the memorable moment from your leadership program where you saw leaders transforming?
One of a very beautiful memory, but it was a kind of a surprise and shock for me also, was my initial years when I used to talk about emotional mastery, where we went into a time of the session where the biggest of the leaders were in tears, because instead of looking outside for answers, we were working on looking within. And that is one memory that has stayed and made me very, very grounded. Because at the end of it, that is why my previous answer, that in spite of the levels, in spite of the cultures, our emotions are pretty much the same. And they are beautiful. It's just that we should be okay to look within. And that has been stayed with me forever.
Wow. So, Esther, you often talk about human-centric leadership. How did this philosophy take shape in your professional journey?
I started with Amir, to be very honest, I started with big, big jargons, uh, big systems, big strategies, the 5S framework and 3F framework and this framework and everything. And a realization happened when pandemic hit. Because the minute pandemic hit and when we were evolving, everybody was craving connection and look at people. It came by observing that disconnect which technology was bringing. We are advancing. Our strategic advantage comes from being human. No other species can mimic also the human traits. We fail to see that as our advantage. During pandemic, when I started seeing that disconnect, and now when AI has grown so much, I have seen leaders managing KPIs so perfectly, but in that process, they are losing people quietly. And that has brought me to a realization that how much Humans are hardwired for connection, and that needs from the very aspect of human centricity. If a leader is leading, the leadership that shapes with human-centric leadership, that's what has made me realize that it's not just about being soft, it is about being real, being vulnerable, being okay to see the other person as from their side, from my side as well as their sides. And that has helped me to evolve into working and talking about being more human, being more human centric in the AI world. Because resisting AI is not going to stop the change, but it will only make us redundant as humans. And so, as we are thriving in the AI, the void which is created of keeping us disconnected needs to be built with human centricity.
Wow. So, Esther, what's the story behind your transformation company, Indian Board of Mind and Life Transformation?
The company was formed during my transformative years when I was moving from a very logical person, a harsh person, to looking within. And that's where I realized that all the answers which I had was with me in my mindset. How I look things, that's how they become. How I channelize my emotions, that's how it starts shaping my journey, my life, my decisions. Everything is with us. The answers are with us. And that is where we had formed this work, which is specifically focusing on mindset and emotion, harnessing the power of mindset and emotion. Uh, because each one of us, we are asking answers, we want resources, but the biggest resource is us. The minute we start learning to be resourceful, that's where the miracle starts happening. So that is how we started working on this, and now it's changing lives.
Wow. So, Esther, who's been your biggest cheerleader professionally and personally?
Professionally, I can't name just one. There are a lot of people at different phases of my life who have guided me, mentored me, corrected me. Uh, Nicely and not very nicely also in my professional journey. But I am okay to take those harsh feedbacks also. That's what has helped me. In my personal life, my first cheerleader was my mom. She passed away many years back. And now my biggest cheerleader is my son. Because as leaders, we feel that. Because I'm teaching emotional mastery, I may not have my difficult days, but we all have that. Every mentor need a mentor. And my son and my husband are those in the days when I have my dips and lows. They are my cheerleader. They remind me why I do what I do. And then it helps me to bounce back.
Wow. So, Esther, you're playing a major role at Professional Speakers Association of India. What is your vision for India's professional speaking community looks like in the coming 5 years?
So when I talk about PSAI, it's one community which is very, very close to my heart because it gave me my second career. A lot of people in our country do not know that there is a profession called professional speaking from which you actually earn. It's a multi-billion dollar industry which is still untapped by our country. So when I take this role and I'm working as the president for Professional Speakers Association of India, one of the biggest thing that I'm aspiring and I'm working towards is to create a global presence and acceptance for our speakers. And that comes when our speakers can own that stage and create the experience for their listeners. It's very different from speaking a speech and creating an experience where emotions are stilled, people want to connect with you and learn from you. So one of the things that I'm working aggressively towards is to bring in that global presence and acceptance for my members, because future is not just motivational noise, it is meaningful voice which can create that emotion. And uh, that's one of the things that I'm working towards.
Wow. So, Esther, in your experience, how can women leaders balance empathy with assertiveness in boardrooms still dominated by traditional mindsets?
When we talk about empathy, Amir, I think women are naturally empathetic because we've been caregivers, we take care of kids growing up, and especially in our country, uh, we are always there. But women also, we're too empathetic to an extent that we sacrifice ourselves. And that is why women leaders must start becoming assertive to talk for themselves.
Hmm.
Empathy and assertiveness, they are not opposite, but they are together. They are partners to support each other. When you can understand others' point of view, but still respect yourself, to own your own perspective also. That shift is from seeking approval to owning their own perspective. That is the shift which women leader have to bring in. Because when women lead from clarity, women are leading right from the time they are small. Girls to women to leading, we're leading the house, we're leading. But when it comes to workplaces, we start seeking approval and keeping our view to us. That is where assertiveness is important because empathy comes naturally to women. All they
Hmm.
need to do is lead from clarity instead of seeking permission. And that is quietly going to bring in that power which every time women says we don't get it.
Wow. So, as someone who's achieved so much in leadership and transformation, what's the next big impact you want to create?
I am quietly, steadily, Amir, I'm working on creating a movement where leadership is internally strong and emotionally grounded. Right now, leadership is exhaustive and performance based, but I'm working on creating a place where leadership is internally strong and it is very, very grounded. The minute that starts happening, uh, is going to be a beautiful, empathetic world, is what I believe. We would be more human than leaders, and that's exactly how we were created. So, leaders who can succeed without losing themselves in the process. That's the work that I want to build on.
Beautiful. So, my last question for your professional journey round: what advice would you give to young women professionals who want to enter the world of talent development and transformation?
Uh, I can suggest two things to the young women and anybody for that matter who's entering into the world of transformation and leadership is don't try to fit in. Our systems are still broken. We are working on it. Don't try to fit in, but evolve them. But when you're evolve them respectfully. That's where your human element comes. And second, start building on your emotional strength right from the time you build your skills to be into those corporates. It should become a part of our college. It should become, start building on that emotional strength because the more we are evolving in technology, our emotions are getting more and more fragile. The minute our generation starts understanding people, that would become their biggest superpower because that cannot dilute anything. So the skill then would be a strategic advantage to us. It would give us an edge, but our base and our superpower would be understanding people.
Wow. So, let's go to next round and understand Esther as a person. Tell us about your family and your formative years.
My formative years have been challenging. I was a rebel, uh, but it was also very transformative because those years have taught me resilience and observation on working on myself. In my very early years, uh, understanding people made a lot of difference. And here, uh, I would give credit to two of my mentors. One was my director, Dr. George Judah, during my MBA days, who helped me to uh, be okay to speak up. And that speaking up helped me to get my next mentor in my very first job, Mr. H.R. Lal, who was the head of the steel manufacturing company I was working for. When I spoke up, he gave me an opportunity, and that's what I always thrive to do is when somebody speaks up their interest, I try to bring in that. So those were my years of learning to speak up and stand for what you really believe. That has always stayed and supported me in my growth.
Wow. So, what's a typical Sunday morning looks for Esther when you are not transforming minds?
My Sunday, Monday to Saturday, all are pretty much the same. I am not, I'm somebody who's not in a race. I'm somebody who is aspiring to do a lot of things, but not trying to break records on the timeline. So this life of being on my own and transforming lives is a life which is a life of passion, purpose, and a very big choice. And so there are days on Sundays where I'm working very hard, but there are days on midweek where I will just sit, relax, and protect the unhurried time to bring in clarity. So every day is a day full of passion, fun, and rest for me. Uh, because if I'm not transforming somebody else's life, I'm transforming myself on those quiet days. Yeah.
Wow. So, do you have a personal ritual or affirmation that grounds you before taking the stage?
To be very honest, everybody who takes the stage, whether it is Oprah, whether it is uh, any big leader, they have those jitters. And I also face the same. But I have learned one thing, and I accept that fully is it's okay if I make a mistake on the stage. I have learned how to cope with it on the stage without shrinking. That is one, it has come through practice. And second, when I am going on stage, 1 hour before that, I don't run the script in my head. Then I live the atmosphere, the environment, the people, and be there in the moment. That eases my anxiousness and the worry of goofing up. So that grounds me.
Wow. So, is there a hobby or passion you have discovered recently that brings you joy?
Uh, I would say not really, but spending time doing nothing consciously. That has been that is something that I have been rediscovering, where I'm consciously not doing anything in spite of the fact that I know I have a deadline after 2 days, but I still choose to pause, stay in that moment. That is what has been one of the things that I have rediscovered, and really helps me to charge up.
Wow. So, Esther, how do you nurture friendships amidst such a demanding professional life?
I have few friends, Amir, but all of them, it's quality over quantity, because those real connections, they don't really need my presence every day. Uh, they know with a hi, even in a WhatsApp, when it's a hi with double I and one I, they know what's going on. That's the kind of connection we have built. So if it is the word that we write HMM, if it is HMM and if it is HMMM, they know that something is off, and that's where we connect. So we don't have to really do it every day to keep up with it, because we know that we are there for each other. So it's not
Wow.
very demanding.
Beautiful.
Coexist.
So, it's all about mind reading. Two words. Wow. So, is there a book or author that's deeply shaped your worldview outside your professional sphere?
Mm, I read a lot of books. Dan Brown, all series have been one of my favorites. It's difficult but very intelligent the minute you start getting the hang of it. Uh, Then on inner reflection, I like books like The Rock and the Hard Place, Between the Rock and the Hard Place, which is also turned into a movie. Then, when I talk about my topics, one of my favorite all-time books has been Psycho-Cybernetics, which has helped me to know myself better and my thoughts. These are the kind of books I read, different, varied. I do not read too much of my topic kind of books. Uh,
Wow. So, what's that childhood memory that brings an instant smile to your face when you reflect back?
some of my memories that makes me, I've had a lot of fun during my MBA days. So that then I have always lived away from my parents for my study because I come from a very, very small town which did not have English medium schools. And so uh, going back to uh, going back to my parents' home in vacation, thinking about that really, it reminds me how those small things made so much of joy and fun. So those are those memories that bring back uh, smile and reflect back and be grateful.
Oh, beautiful. So, my ye last three question and last four question will be reflective. What legacy you would like to leave behind?
If I talk about legacy, it is about being empathetic, being able to see people for who they are, not what who I want them to be. And that's how I'm bringing up my son also, where passion, compassion goes together. That is the kind of legacy which I would want to leave for everyone.
Wow. So, since this is Sri Shakti series, what does Sri Shakti mean to you?
If I talk about that, Amir, I think we are born powerful.
Hmm.
And it's just about owning it. It's just about accepting that we are not in a competition. We are beautifully made and we have been given the human traits which are so much necessary in today's world right from the beginning. All that is needed is to be aware of it and to accept it and embrace it. Instead of challenging the world, accept yourself, and then you are naturally powerful to make your decisions, own up to it, and keep going.
Wow. Since December is a festival month and Christmas is coming, what message would you like to give to our viewers for Christmas?
For Christmas, enjoy your time, spend time with your family, uh, create memories. That's the biggest thing that you can achieve in life because we are all the time running around to fulfill targets, do work, provide for the family, but in all this rush, we are forgetting to create memories with the one who would be there right with us till the very end. And so create those memories. They are very, very precious. Life is very, very unpredictable. Tell somebody how much they matter today instead of waiting on a special day. Do the little things for each other uh, because because that's what matters. That's what builds in the connection. And above all, be human.
Wow. So my last one is a googly one. Describe Esther in one line.
I am unfiltered, curious learner who has grown by making a lot of mistakes, but I'm still not afraid to make mistakes because I'm thankful that I did that and it made me a better person.
Wow. So let's put in the hot seat, the rapid fire round. Leadership in one word.
Human,
EQ or IQ?
EQ and IQ.
Your go-to comfort food.
Biryani.
Your favorite color.
Red is my current favorite. White is my upcoming favorite.
Wow. One emotion you did never suppress.
Laughing, cracking jokes, even
Wow.
crying. I don't suppress that.
No. One global city you'd love to live and work in.
No, I like India. I just like India. Going around everywhere, I like this place.
Wow. Best piece of advice received.
Speak up. Don't just let it bottleneck. Speak up. Respectfully, but speak up.
No. Most inspiring woman you admire.
My mom.
Wow. A quote you live by.
I make my own quotes every day, whatever inspires me. So, no, I don't have any quote.
So, what's the quote for today?
Uh, choose plan A. Don't worry about plan B and make plan A work.
Wow. Tea or coffee to recharge?
Tea, any day. Tea.
Let's discuss. So, you did well, and here's a book which we autograph and send to you.
Thank you, Amir, so much.
So, Esther's journey reminds us that leadership isn't about commanding rooms, it's about connecting hearts. Her mission to nurture emotionally intelligent, human centric leaders transcends corporate boundaries, inspiring individuals to lead with empathy, authenticity, and impact. As we close this conversation on this special episode of Christmas, one message stands tall. Leadership is not a title, it's a responsibility to elevate others. Here's to women like Esther who lead with grace, guide with wisdom, and inspire with soul, shaping the leaders our world truly needs. So, like that, there are 800 plus coffee speakers who have shared their inspiring stories professionally, personally. Subscribe to the Coffee on Show on YouTube. Make the changes in your life. We meet with another speaker and continue conversation of cup of coffee. So, take care. Thank you.
Thank you very much.